Here's the problem with COVID, as I see it in 2024 here in May. I would say, in COVID, meaning in this instance, AI neural mapping of the brain via the injection of nanoparticles made in the efforts to manipulate a person. What I would say to you is that with such technology, it would either be capitalism, the invention of capital and manufactured debts, or the internet. Those are your choices ultimately, because you can no further establish any kind of debt or agreement of debt or any other kind of agreement to anything really, and be expected and have any reasonable expectation of being repaid, because with that thing able to manufacture consent and manipulate a person's mind, you have no way to enforce it or impose any kind of a debt at any shape for any length of time on any person. That includes rental agreements, car notes, car loans, student loan agreements, and on a spiritual level, I would base, and that also includes the court fees, property taxes, um, utility fees, utility agreements, because ultimately you cannot enforce capitalism or impose the idea of capital or debts on a society, and that includes digital currency, on a system where you could basically manufacture that consent via the use of that artificial intelligence. And yeah, basically humanity has a choice to make. It's either, do you want artificial intelligence and the internet, the World Wide Web, or do you instead want your freedom, your choice, your ability to choose, your God-given right to choose, or goddess for that matter. And while we're on the topic, if anybody would think that they've ever made an agreement with the devil in this time period, or demons, I would like to tell you it's probably just more like a daemon, like kind of a background process like in an internet program, as opposed to, and perhaps your peers around you messing with the same thing, as opposed to an actual real demon. And if you ever thought you made a deal with the real devil, I would say that all those agreements would be made null and void too. And you would have to use the scripture basically in this instance, which would say something along the lines of, you must weigh for yourselves whether these words are of God or of the devil. If they are not of love, it is not of God. So therefore, with a reasonable expectation of debt and repayment, whilst the any vestige of the World Wide Web, the internet, either in an internet cloud form, like literal cloud, where like it's a satellite network based internet versus ground based, while either vestige of those still remains, you have no reasonable expectation of debt. You have no reasonable lawful expectation of being able to recover said debt, and you've got no means whatsoever in any way, shape, or form of imposing or enforcing that debt in any kind of lawful fashion. With that being said, I would say it's either capitalism or the internet. You either have the institution of money, or you have the institution of the World Wide Web, the internet. So those are your two choices here. And I would like to say that if anybody considers themselves in like a spiritual bind in terms of like forgiveness, you might as well just consider yourself forgiven, and because I don't think any reasonable God would impose that on you. You might refer yourself to your 10 commandments. And, thou shalt not have any other gods before me, not to make yourself unto an idol, any graven images, or to bow down to worship them. You would have to observe the Sabbath, basically give yourself a day off. And the Sabbath was historically known as the Saturday. Let me see. Thou shalt not have, well, refer to the book if we find it such a way. But thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet anything of your neighbor's. Because envy is bad. It leads you to do things like also the other one. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. So in this situation, you really couldn't bear any kind of witness in this case because this thing could manipulate you into such a way where you might agree to something. And I've personally seen this. And then even marriage agreements, how could you say that you even married a person and you weren't being manipulated? So that's that. Anyway, that's what I got. And I hope this hadn't been too much trouble on y'all, but that's what it is. Anyway. And then you also have the one, thou shalt not commit adultery, which I guess is cheating on your spouse. Anyway, so peace, 7 times 7, EPs, A.N.S, whatever.